What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global back here with another video, and today I am going to be giving you guys 4 different veteran newcomers who I believe will make a big difference for the Patriots this upcoming season. And when I say veteran newcomers, I mean veterans in the NFL who the Patriots have signed and or traded for this offseason. So basically, this meaning that this is either their first year with the team or their first year back with the team. Now, number 1, I have defensive end / defensive tackle Michael Bennett. And this is a pretty obvious one, but let me get more into it. Now, young rising star Trey Flowers was in contract year in which he decided to go out and sign with the Detroit Lions, a $90 million contract to be exact. Bill Belichick knew that it was a very high risk to basically try and go on with the offseason as if they were going to be able to retain Trey Flowers. He was one of the best free agents in the free agency market, and in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, was the best defensive end on the market. This is where Bill Belichick went and he traded with the Philadelphia Eagles for 33-year-old Michael Bennett. And of course, the trade of Michael Bennett had so much upside with very little downside. That downside really being that you're trading Trey Flowers, who was in the early stages of his prime, for someone like Michael Bennett, who is in the final years of his career. But Michael Bennett continues to show that he can still give it in the NFL. In his one season with the Philadelphia Eagles, Bennett registered 9 sacks and tied for second most in his career, and 2 more than Trey Flowers had with the Pats. He made 15 tackles for loss, which was 3rd most in his 10 seasons, and was credited with 30 quarterback hits on the opposing quarterbacks. So basically, he's coming off a year of one of his best seasons in the NFL, so there is really no reason to feel that he is declining. And to go off of that, he played in all 16 regular season games for the 6th time in his 7 years, and participated in nearly 70% of the Philadelphia Eagles defensive snaps. That is extremely important and extremely vital to have a guy that is able to stay healthy for as long as he has. For the most part, Trey Flowers was a guy who could stay healthy, but he definitely had his times where he would miss games due to injury. Something that makes me really optimistic about Michael Bennett is that, again, he's coming off one of the best seasons of his career, and in the beginning of his tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles, they were not playing him that often. Believe it or not, they didn't start truly utilizing him till the season started progressing. And that's actually something that upsetted Michael Bennett a lot. He's now going to be with the Patriots, who again have the best coaching staff and seem to be able to plan and scheme against any offense better than any other team in the NFL. And considering he's going to be the best person on the Patriots defensive line, he brings versatility and, quite honestly, is one of the best players on the Patriots, period. He's going to get a lot of play time. I guarantee you it's going to be more play time than he ever had with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be playing defensive end and defensive tackle. You're rarely going to see him come off the field. So I truly believe, as long as he stays healthy, which he should, that we could see the best year Michael Bennett has ever had in his career. Next up, I have former Patriot tight end Benjamin Watson. Watson is a guy that if you've been a Patriots fan for a very long time, you will know who he is. Started his career with the Patriots, then moved on to go to teams like the Ravens and more recently the Saints. There are a lot of different people having a lot of different thoughts on this guy. You have the one side of people, very optimistic about him. They love the signing. And then you have other guys who are on the exact opposite side saying that he's 38, he's only 6'2", he's not going to do anything for the Patriots. And look, Rob Gronkowski retired, okay? The Patriots are never going to be able to just replace Rob Gronkowski, especially the same offseason that he retires. But to get a guy like Benjamin Watson, who has ability to do so much, who has the ability to produce in the run game and the pass game, Not to mention having that veteran experience and having the experience on the team already and chemistry with Tom Brady, you're not going to get much better than that. Now, of course, Benjamin Watson will be serving a 4-game suspension in the beginning of the season for using testosterone, even though he was retired at the time. But obviously, the Patriots will have to not panic without Benjamin Watson. I think they'll be okay for the first 4 games. Depending on who exactly they'll have at tight end, we don't exactly know until the season is to start. But I firmly believe that when Week 5 comes, Benjamin Watson is going to be the Patriots' number 1 tight end. His best season with the Patriots was in 2006 when he caught 49 passes for 643 yards on just 91 targets. Drew Brees, when he was with the Saints, targeted him with 110 passes, and that is where Watson set career highs with 74 catches for 825 yards and 6 touchdowns. And guys, that was just in 2016. Of course, he then did tear his Achilles during the 2017 season. Then last year, when he returned to the New Orleans Saints, he hauled in 35 balls for 400 yards. Look, Benjamin Watson is not going to bring the build and the height of a Rob Gronkowski, but he is a fairly fast tight end, especially for his age. And he's a guy that can jump up to get those high balls, but can also make those low ball catches. I truly don't expect him to be as productive in the passing game as a Rob Gronkowski, but I without a doubt expect him to be a lot more productive than a Dwayne Allen. With that being said, he'll also provide great power and strength to the Patriots running game, which we all know they are going to heavily try to utilize and rely on this upcoming season. I still firmly believe the Patriots will make some type of move still at tight end, especially because they do still have a roster spot open. But I could really see Josh McDaniels coming up with something special and coming back with those 2 tight end sets with a Benjamin Watson and then having a Matt LaCosse next to him or whoever they might add to the team. Next up, I have wide receiver Demaryius Thomas, and I know there's going to be some people iffy about this one, and there's going to be some people that totally agree with this one. But let this sink in. Only 5 active players have made more catches than Demaryius Thomas, and only 6 have racked up more receiving yards than the 5-time Pro Bowler. For years, Demaryius Thomas was known for being one of the best in the NFL. I mean, flexing his physical gifts, his size, his strength, and his speed. To have a guy like that is unbelievable. And maybe he's not in his prime, but the Patriots have that guy. He caught 297 passes and 35 touchdowns in a 3-year span, which included his peak of 2014. Which his stats that season were 111 catches for 1,619 yards and 11 touchdowns. There's really 2 big worries that people have with Demaryius Thomas. Now, one of them is his decline since Peyton Manning has left. Because if you really look at his stats and when those years fall, then you will know that once Peyton Manning left, that's kind of when DT started to go down also. But at the same time, guys, this is something I've said in every video that I have related back to Demaryius Thomas, and that is who was throwing him the ball. You had one of the best in Peyton Manning giving him the ball, and that's why he did so good. Then you have a guy like Trevor Siemian throwing him the ball. Trevor Siemian was no one, all right? And then who does he get? Case Keenum, before he then gets traded to the Texans with Deshaun Watson, where his career starts to go back up before, of course, getting injured. And that goes to my second reason, is that a lot of people are worried about Demaryius Thomas coming off his injury. A lot of people are saying that because it was season ending and because of the type of injury it was, that he will not come back the same, that his career is done. Obviously an Achilles injury is not exactly what you're looking for at his age. But at the same time, what people are neglecting with this is that he has had an injury like that before, and everybody said the exact same thing, and he came back to the NFL. He actually was recovering very quickly the first time he tore his Achilles, and still grew to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. Now, of course, he is getting older. That's something that you can't neglect. But we're hearing again that he's progressing very fast. So if he is progressing fast and he can get back to the Patriots in time and build the chemistry with Tom Brady, then why can't he be one of the best in the league again? I mean, are you really going to try to tell me that age is the reason that he can't be good anymore when you have guys like Tom Brady still playing way past a quarterback should? Not to mention that he's coming back with a guy like Josh McDaniels, the guy who had drafted him originally when he was the head coach for the Broncos. Josh McDaniels knows what he's capable of. Josh McDaniels will know how to use him and will come up with such creative plays in order to get him going with Tom Brady. And that's my other point, is that he's going to have the best quarterback of all time giving him the ball. And again, the big thing with Demaryius Thomas was who was giving him the ball. When he has an elite quarterback, he seems to go back to that all-pro status of a wide receiver. Bill Belichick signed this guy because he knew what he was capable of. Demaryius Thomas has burned the Patriots defense on multiple occasions. Even when the Patriots win by a landslide against the Broncos, Demaryius Thomas just always seems to wreck the Patriots, and Bill Belichick knows that. He knows what he's capable of, and it is going to be a story to remember. I guarantee you that if Demaryius Thomas can really come back from this injury. All right, next up, I have linebacker Jamie Collins. And really, this one is just an obvious one that I'm pretty sure once you saw the title of this video, you guys knew him and Michael Bennett were coming. But how could you forget him? I mean, after being traded by the Patriots on Halloween of 2016, Collins gets traded to the Cleveland Browns, where apparently, in their eyes, he was worth a $50 million contract. That next year with the Browns, he spent 3 weeks in concussion protocol, and then he tore his MCL in his right knee. Long story short, it really was not working out with the Browns whatsoever. He wasn't even a starter on the Browns defense. We heard for multiple seasons that the Browns weren't so sure about him. They were looking to possibly cut him, looking to possibly trade him. Then last season, during the trade deadline, we hear that the Patriots might be interested in trading for Jamie Collins. It doesn't happen. Year later, they decide to just full-on release Jamie Collins, in which the Patriots then pick up, and Bill Belichick proves why he is just amazing. Before getting traded to the Browns, though, Jamie Collins was one of the best players on the Patriots defense. More specifically, him getting to the quarterback was something that most other linebackers cannot do at the Jamie Collins level. And I'm not just talking on the Patriots, I'm talking in the entire league. I mean, he was the best linebacker at the time in his time with the Patriots at actually getting to the quarterback and creating a pass rush. I mean, before getting traded, he was all pro. A big question for a lot of fans when Jamie Collins was re-signed was, is he even going to make the roster? I mean, his contract, when you look at that, does not scream roster lock by any means. It also worried a lot of fans because it looked like Jamie Collins lost his confidence. He lost his swagger. And if you're a football player, you know that you need to have that to play good on the field. Because if you're not, you're constantly in your head. You're constantly thinking that is going to hinder you so much in the NFL. I mean, look at Cyrus Jones. That was a big problem with him. But it looks like just being on the Patriots gives you a bunch of confidence, because Jamie Collins basically came right back, and it seemed as if he never left. He jumped right back in with guys like Gerard Mayo, with Dante Hightower. And from what we are hearing, he is playing at the old Jamie Collins type of level. Now, of course, that was just OTAs, that was just minicamp. We're going to see how he does in training camp, how he's going to do when he actually plays a game again back with the Patriots. But from what it sounds like, we are starting to get that old Jamie Collins back. And if you remember that time that he was with the Patriots, he was the difference maker. He's going to help the Patriots tremendously when it helps creating a pass rush. But he's also going to help in that coverage style linebacker areas, helping in the pass game and defending the pass, but also being able to defend the run game. Guys, this is someone who I said is so versatile. He can do so much. He can do it all. And having him back helps in more ways that I can ever explain. And last up, I have wide receiver Dontrelle Inman. Now, if you've watched my videos, then you know I've had multiple different thoughts on Dontrelle Inman. Now, I actually called the Dontrelle Inman signing a while ago, as I've made a lot of videos about, free agents that the Patriots could sign this offseason, and he was one of them. And a couple months later, the Patriots do exactly that. Now, the thing is that Bill Belichick obviously saw something that he loved in Dontrelle Inman, because Inman had a workout with the Patriots, and literally right after we found out he had a workout, he was signed. I'm a guy who has said multiple times I like Dontrelle Inman and I hope he makes the roster, but if you saw my 53-man roster prediction video, then you'll know I didn't have him making the roster, and that's because right now I don't see him making the roster because he had such a bad minicamp and OTAs, that being that he hadn't caught a single ball. And with the wide receiver core just being so jam-packed, I just thought that it's going to be extremely hard for him if he's not catching any balls. But if he is able to step it up in training camp and preseason games, which is very possible, guys, and I mean extremely possible, we've seen this multiple times happen, then I honestly think that he could be a huge difference maker. Inman just turned 30 and had a very successful stretch with the Indianapolis Colts this past season. While he was with the Chargers, he caught 58 passes, racking up 810 yards and 14 yards per catch. Now, Dontrelle Inman actually only played 9 games for the Colts, but he made 28 catches for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think what is best to like about this guy, and it's why I had the Patriots signing him, was because he's a player who scores and turns up in those big moments, the moments that you need him, including a 2-game playoff run in which he totaled 8 grabs for 108 yards. I mean, this guy is just elite when it comes to the postseason type of games, and that's something that we have seen with Danny Amendola and something that the Patriots could use again. Something else that I think Bill Belichick, but most specifically Tom Brady, will love is that he's very reliable. He catches 77% of the passes thrown his way and gave Andrew Luck a passer rating of 133 when firing in his direction. And I'm sure a big part of that was the fact that he's 6'3", 205 pounds, so his size is very intriguing. Now, of course, that's not going to land him a roster spot because a lot of these guys that the Patriots have at wide receiver bring height. But due to his height, due to his speed, and due to his reliability, if he can prove that he can have that with the Patriots and get on the same page as Tom Brady, then this guy is going to be the difference maker on the field. His only issue is going to be actually getting to the 53-man roster. But that is it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on the 4 veteran newcomers that I feel will have a huge difference this upcoming season? Let me know in the comments below, and also make sure you guys like this video as it seriously helps me and the channel out very, very, very much. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and join the PG family. We're always accepting newcomers, and we always love to spark new conversations in the comment section below, so go ahead and start a new conversation up in the comments. But other than that, guys, I will catch you in another video.